Hello everyone and welcome back to Swede Rolls. My name is Toby.
I'm Chris.
I'm Max.
And I'm Andrea.
And together we're going to be talking about the thing that everyone dreads. That time when your character dies. Or some people might look forward to it if the campaign sucks. But, well, there you go.
Yeah.
So, I think pretty much everyone here, GM or player, has experienced at one point in their history at the death of a character.
Yes.
It could be fire beetles. It could be the GM overestimating the fighting capabilities of the players. It could be the GM not liking the player. Lots of different reasons. Right?
Arguments can ensue.
Yeah, exactly. Like, for example, if it's okay to throw money at kobolds and then kill them.
Yes.
Yes. Johan, we still remember you. I'm glad that he still remembered that.
Yes.
But
he remembers lots of things.
Oh, yeah. More than I do about our campaigns.
Yes.
Which says a lot about
how much you put thought into them.
How much of a dick I am. But I think it's... what would a role-playing game be without risk, right? Risk is kind of a crucial part of a game. I believe. There's some kind of loss, a risk of losing something.
Well, there has to be something gambled.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a life is quite a big deal.
Yeah. And if you're an adventurer, which is the typical role-playing character, that death comes more often than you like.
Yeah.
You're in a dangerous business.
Yeah, exactly. But one of the big questions you have to ask yourself when you're playing a game is who decides if you die? Because depending on the system you're playing, right, it could be that... Oh, and also depending on the group, some people go hardcore into the rules. If the game says you die, you don't pull any punches, you're dead. Other people go, I'm going to fudge the rules a little bit, right, to make sure that my character doesn't die. And in occasions like MMORPGs, for example, death doesn't really happen until you decide for it to happen, right, in role-playing scenarios. Mm. If you're tired of your character or if you want to play something else, you kind of arrange a death to happen.
You sort of retire the character rather than...
That's why I always play hardcore. Because I like the small challenge. But still, in role-playing games, I haven't had many characters died.
No, it's usually Johan, actually. At least in my campaigns.
In one of the campaigns, I was playing with Johan as a storyteller.
Johan, this is Brother Manius in our role-playing podcast.
Yes,
yeah.
And he's been on here before because, he's a funny guy. And he has been my storyteller
Welcome
for
to the
quite a
podcast
lot of...
about Johan.
Yes. No, but one of the ones was where where we were playing Vampire, the Requiem.
Mm-hmm,
the new Vampire.
Yeah.
Hey, I like it.
Hey,
I can't complain.
Good for you.
Yes. I'm probably one of the few people who likes it.
No, it's fine.
But I know more of that system and the background and everything than the old system, which I didn't really get to touch upon a lot. But yeah, so one of the few times I have actually died was by another player's hand because I Diablerized someone.
That, I think, is perhaps a more common character death in some ways.
Yeah. Actually, yes.
That there is some kind of interaction between characters, and that causes one of them to die somewhere down the line. Not necessarily immediately, but...
Someone stepping on a trap, for example.
Well, it sort of... Two characters come to a disagreement that they cannot resolve.
Oh, that's yeah.
To the point where one of them kills the other. Or they attack each other and one of them wins that fight.
Interestingly, I don't think I've ever had that happen in any of my groups, as far as I can remember.
I tried to kill another player in one of our role-playing sessions.
When did you do that? Was it Vampire?
I tried to shoot an arrow at a dwarf who sacrificed the bloods to the goddess of death.
Yes. Oh, God.
I tried
that was
to
just
kill
a major misunderstanding.
No. She unleashed the god of death upon the realm of mortals, which...
Again, a misunderstanding.
No. I tried to make things right. Like, this dwarf has been doing lots of fucked up shit in the latest few months.
Was she a
I'm gonna
warlock or
kill
a
her.
cleric?
Rogue.
Rogue.
Man, I do not remember any of this campaign.
Okay.
But incidentally, I think it was during my all-time low.
Okay.
As a in my
But I
personal
think
life,
it might be either you or Johan who storytell that one.
I think if it was with who I think it was, then it might have been me. If it was 4th edition, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was probably me.
Okay.
But
yes. So I tried to kill a person, but the entire party tried to stop me. But what can I say? I couldn't really do much when the entire party goes against one person.
Fair point.
And I was a very able archer and got the other person into a coma.
Coma is almost death.
Almost death. I almost
As the
succeeded.
French call it, le petit mort. Or is that the orgasm?
I think it is.
But yes.
Coma, orgasm, this is the same.
Totally.
Orgasm.
Oh, don't go there. Anyway,
Golden Star, you tried.
we can talk about this when we get.
Toby, but okay.
All right.
Oh well.
What? All right, let's move on.
Yes.
I think it's very important in any situation that there's a kind of a concord, as it were, between the players and the game master in these scenarios, right?
Well,
or the players and the players, at least, if it's PvP, as it were. Because some people take character death very lightly. They roll up a new character, it's part of the game.
Yes.
Other people invest a lot of time and energy into their character, works really hard to make them unique and interesting, have a lot of depth. Then just have them randomly die from a trap can feel kind of shitty.
Well, I think it depends a lot on the system. Like, if we're going for D&D and similar systems, death is more expected. And
It was built for that.
at later levels and things, death is a solvable problem.
That's true.
It's not permanent. That turns it into more of a, if the entire party dies, then you die.
Yeah.
And that's also an interesting solution to the whole thing, that either none of you die or all of you die.
Yeah.
Very much so.
And that-
TPK?
TPK.
Yeah.
Total party kill.
But that's when you play the brothers and sisters of the previous party who are on a mission to resurrect their fallen siblings.
But it comes to sort of conclusion for the campaign in that case, not just you're out, everyone else is still in it. And I mean, for the system, that is good.
But I mean, Gary Gygax, when he designed Dungeons and Dragons, it was supposed to be a dungeon crawl that would hopefully kill the players before they reached a goal.
Yeah,
It was very much GM versus players back then.
Yeah. And I mean, I've had experiences in I think it was Dungeons and Dragons 3.5. We had a character die and be resurrected at fairly low levels, so it wasn't a permanent problem.
No. But again, that's if you, the GM, go, okay, the player doesn't want this character to die, or it's convenient for the character to remain alive, you can always...
Yeah, there's always a solution. In a system that doesn't have resurrection easily available anyway, where it's death is permanent as it is in real life, it's a little bit of a different thing. Death is not something that comes easily or should be taken easily.
I'm really curious to find out if there's people role-playing in Diablo hardcore. If your character dies, they're gone forever. Wouldn't that be fucking interesting?
Not role play. It's not that expensive. You can't really do much in it.
Believe me, I'm sure there are people who...
No. I'm certain there are some people role playing in that game, but I think it's fucking stupid.
Well, I mean, in 10 years, you'll be like, why did I ever say that it's stupid role play in Diablo?
No, I don't regret that.
I mean, people probably role playing whatever that can sustain it. Whatever has a chat.
Yeah.
Probably there's role play.
Penguin.
People probably role played there.
Also, those servers are down.
Have a hotel. Yeah.
There's also like role-playing games like Overwatch, if we want to be technical.
There's role-playing in Overwatch?
Well, I mean, there's people who role-play specific characters, stuff like that.
Oh,
but it's not like
out of the game,
extensive.
though. Or in the game?
I've seen someone role-playing as Osomatsu and people from which is in the anime. I've seen some people going around...
Wait, people have been role-playing anime characters from a different series in Overwatch?
Yes, I've seen the videos. Google
This
it.
sounds fucking amazing. I need to know this.
I
Out of
feel
character,
like
I
a
think.
fossil right now. This is some shit I should have gotten
You're
into.
the one who plays it. You're the one who might bump into them.
I've never met anyone role.
You should totally role play an Overwatch, Chris. Every time.
Hi everyone.
See
I
how
don't
it
even
goes.
know what to like.
Just play Genshin, just speak Japanese and
We-
refuse to speak anything
we-
else.
We've talked so much about building a community. Maybe you can start winning Overwatch. Go for it. You can do
Roll-
it. I believe in you.
The whole premise of Overwatch is that you're not supposed to play with the same people more than like once.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
No, well.
Imagination is the limit. No,
On
sorry.
the other hand, you also have people on Tumblr role playing as real life Dota 2 players.
Oh my
So
gosh.
that's a thing that's happening.
Wow.
We've gone way off topic here, but I
I
just
heard
Sorry.
Sing Sing is pretty hot.
yeah. Oh, he's what is it? Kohai on the streets, senpai in the sheets.
What?
I saw someone wearing that T-shirt.
Physically.
So how does character death work in that system?
Oh man!
Do you just
die
wait
in
until that person dies?
If you
in real
want to
life?
kill that role playing character, you have to assassinate the character in real life.
Or do you have to just kill him in the game?
Maybe I don't know.
So if
That's-
you manage to kill him in...
What is the meta on Tumblr role playing blogs? That's what we need to find out here.
We need to
No,
do some
we
research.
don't.
No, I just saw the look of disgust of your guys' face when I said that. So
No, I'm more intrigued.
Me
because
too,
you can
actually.
roleplay anything.
yeah.
Really. It's
Just
you
because
can
you can doesn't mean you should.
No, but My Little Pony role-playing game is also a thing.
I
You
heard it's
obviously
good.
shouldn't.
They should die.
I heard it's good though.
The characters in there, there should be like a
Toby,
hardcore
you
thing.
have no right to criticize this.
Yeah.
You bring up maid role-playing game all the time.
Yes, but
You want to be the pretty little girl.
that probably dies a horrible death, yes?
Yeah.
Because I think that spices up the campaign if someone dies.
Yeah. Wait, really good way to bring it back on topic.
Yes.
I guess.
Tentacles. Anyway, so
Anyway, yes. Where were we?
Well, who should say who dies in a
Oh,
game?
yeah, that's good.
We were discussing that a little bit, and well, obviously, I feel it depends on the game.
Yeah.
What I went into a little bit is in Dungeons and Dragons, it's more the game's decision.
Mm-hmm.
It's more the dice. It's not really the player. It's not really the GM either. The dice decide.
Yeah, if you play the game straight, that's how it works. Yeah.
Yeah. And usually that's the agreement you have when you start playing a game like that. We are gonna adapt to whatever the dice tell us.
But just gonna go in and say in the Storyteller's Handbook for Dungeons and Dragons in both 4th and 5th edition, they explicitly state that you as the GM have the final authority on rolls. Meaning that they actually, I think they even go out to say that if you don't want to kill the player, you're free to do it. But I do agree that the game is kind of created in a way that it has rules made for this kind of gameplay.
it was created as a dungeon crawler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People die.
Yeah.
That was probably the thing in the system that
Yeah.
because when you die, you just make a new character for that.
And on the other end of the spectrum, we have games like Martin's Varangia.
And World of Darkness.
And, well, World of Darkness you can still die in.
Yes, but that's more of the storyteller's decision.
Yeah, I
in
suppose.
that setting.
Well, no, I
is it?
You can fuck up and die.
They
you
have
can.
you have damage squares, and if you go to the bottom, you're incapacitated, and then if you get more damage, you're dead.
I mean, if your vampire runs out broad daylight, you're gonna die.
Well, then you made a dumb decision.
But in
Maybe you didn't know the door was open or something. But
in Varangia, for example, Martin's campaign,
Yes.
it is 100% a cooperative agreement between the player and the GM. And even in situations where you do a major cuck up, the player will usually be the one to be like, no, this is a perfect opportunity to die. And that's kind of the way his game is designed, is to be film noir. A death is only important if it serves a purpose. Whereas in Dungeons and Dragons, death is the consequence of a failure. In Varangia, death serves a purpose.
And my purpose is to be a corpse in the ditch.
Oh, yeah.
well, and I mean, now we've gotten into where's the game and where's the sort of
Yeah.
cooperatively between
yeah.
the players and the GM. I wonder if it should ever be just the GM's decision, though. Because at some point beforehand, you have to have agreed that in this system, people can die.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to save your characters. There has to be something, I feel.
That is probably a good point to make when you are in the session 0.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of the parts you probably have to go, okay, in this campaign, you might die. And just tell that to the players so they're ready that anything can happen. Their characters can be annihilated, disintegrated, or whatever. Except if they're playing D&D, because they can be brought back, but still.
The interesting part of Dungeons & Dragons is that death is not the end in that world, because they've made the astral plane. They've made, I don't know the names of all the planes, and they keep changing them, but there is a life after death in Dungeons & Dragons.
A very established one, at least in the Faerun setting.
Oh, yeah, but the Planescape setting, when it was created, was supposed to be an all-encompassing the planes. And then they've moved away from that to have individual planes for every setting. But in second edition, it was that the planes in itself were permanent, the same. But every setting, like Faerun or Alpesh, Ravenloft, they were like isolated physical worlds in bubbles. But the planes, everyone shared the same planes. But again, they've gone away from that. So everyone who died in every world went to the same kind of hell or heaven, depending on their alignment as well as their belief, I think.
Well, in 3.5 anyway, everyone goes to the city of the dead, and then they are picked up by various deities, or if they are truly faithless or just paid lip service, they get shoved into the wall of the faithless.
Oh, okay. And that's an interesting thing that this kind of stuff exists, because it shows that somewhere down the line, players were like, no, I'm not done with my character. I want to know what happens when they die, right? Because otherwise, your character's dead, make a new one, right?
Then
it's very easy.
Then you strike a deal with the GM.
Oh, yeah.
Or with devils.
Or with devils.
Yeah.
That was actually an option.
Depending
devil
on...
GMs.
What's the difference?
Of course. Stop talking stop pressing it, like... talking about yourself. Anyway,
Wow.
So
I'm a demon, not a devil, okay?
The spectrum is
I'm not
so
lawful.
wide.
I'm not lawful. Chaotic.
Okay. Yeah.
I was just thinking sort of the basic principle anyway of as you said, session 0. Establish, is this a campaign where people are gonna die easily? Is it a campaign where people are gonna die hard? As in, you know, you can die, but it's gonna require some sort of fuck up after fuck up.
Yeah.
Or is this a campaign where death is something we're gonna agree about?
Yeah.
Alternatively, it's not a campaign that involves danger.
No.
You could also have that. If it's just a social intrigue that doesn't actually involve physical danger, it involves loss of property or statue or social standing in some way or holdings somewhere.
I think that and the agreement is definitely what works into it, and the system also as well. Because, for example, if you want to think about an MMO setting, you are leveling a character for, give or take, a month, maybe more, or however more, and then, you know, you build up a backstory and you have all these social connections, and maybe you've role-played them for a while, and maybe they're in a situation where it's really bad. For example, in Final Fantasy, we have actually /random roll. So we kind of use it sometimes for roleplay combat, really. And so usually the way we're doing it, I'm not saying this is a standard, but usually in that kind of situation where you have so much invested physically into the character, the GM or whoever's running the event will either ask, or the player will say it's okay to, I don't know, maim my character, or it's okay to kill them off if that's the situation. And some people do that because they are like, okay, that's the story. And I've been told of a person who died in combat in an MMO, logged off, deleted the character that they worked really hard on.
Hardcore.
Hardcore. That requires balls.
But I can imagine just being in one of these sessions and having a role play fight
Yeah.
with not having any combat in it. Just everyone's there, roll a d100 and see who wins.
Yeah,
like
that's
a battle royale with one person leaves.
Ooh.
Whoever rolled the highest gets to live.
I think I read somewhere. What was the other one from Ultima Online? There was the EverQuest. Is it EverQuest where you die permadeath?
It could be.
Yeah, because I believe I read a story somewhere about a guy who was griefed on a server, and he didn't get any redemption for it. The GMs were like, no, that's fine. So he created a new character that ran an inn. And essentially, he made this inn a very welcome place. He gave people beer on credit. He made it a very role-playing friendly environment. All the while, he was slowly mastering poisoning skill. So he was brewing batches of poison on his own, but he was, this very welcoming bartender. People didn't know him, like he made a new character. So he oh, come here, and he made it very cheap and stuff like that. And he never made a profit, but people liked it because it was a nice hangout. And then when he had the majority of players sitting there, he sent out invitations to all the major characters on the server, and they came there with their retinues. He poisoned everyone, and they died. Or actually, they didn't die. They went down to 1 HP and fainted, and he just went and killed each of them. And the GMs were like, well, you did it according to the rules, so they're all dead.
Yep.
wow.
And then he logged off and stopped playing.
Wow.
That is a long-term plan.
That was probably over a year of work, I think.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm impressed.
Having oh man, that's awesome.
That
That is probably something I would love to do, just to have
Yeah.
a really dedicated goal.
But then you've sort of agreed that griefing is allowed here.
Yeah.
This setting has allowed this kind of behavior
Yeah.
for whatever reason.
Yeah. So, you can't complain about it because you
agreed
approved these
to it.
rules. Yeah.
At some point, you agreed to playing during these conditions.
Yeah, it's like playing on a PvP server and getting angry for getting griefed by another player. It's like, well,
That if you join that server, you agree to
it's
these
a contract.
unwritten rules.
Yeah. And it's the same with if you play Eon, for example, the Swedish role-playing system, you can literally
so
get
nice.
killed by a snowball.
That won't actually have
Okay.
OB dice, so no.
Okay, yeah.
The new one. Oh.
No, a snowball doesn't have enough damage to actually
okay,
kill you.
It doesn't. Okay.
If you're going by even the old rules.
Yeah.
A snowball isn't statted, but it would probably just
But a rock.
maximum deal 1 damage.
How about a stone, a fist-sized stone?
Yeah, that would. But
Be
that
able
can kill
to-
you
Oh yeah, that's true.
in real life.
True, yeah.
Most things that can kill you in real life can kill you in Eon.
But you can.
You can stumble and die.
The thing with the OB, the exploding dice, though, is that it can be insane. You can be hit in the leg, but the rock can cause so much damage that you die from the.
You can
shock.
probably be pushed on a dirt road and hit yourself and die.
Yeah.
In real life and in the game, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Eon is trying to be very similar.
Yeah.
Simulationist
Yeah.
style of
Yeah.
game where
Yes.
death happens
But
from.
It goes to some pretty crazy lengths to do that too.
they fixed the system.
They tried
The
to
new
anyway.
one.
It's fixed a lot of problems
yes.
that old one had.
Yeah, but right now I think it's a little bit better, but I still have a small love for these unlimited D6s.
I'm trying to learn it so I can hold a session during Vika.
Oh yes.
Nice.
Also, we're going on a.
Oh yeah, you go to your little recluse.
Yes,
Yeah.
we're gonna be in somewhere else for a week and just play role-playing games for a
You
week.
and your Sonic club.
What?
No, nothing.
I'm gonna have my Sonic poster. Fuck you.
Sonic?
No.
No. Not Sonic Club, Sonic Club.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Because Sonic is otherwise known for having the weirdest fandom on the internet.
That's I would say yes. That's true.
That and My Little
There's
Pony.
a story about some space echidna OCs for that, but we can talk about that later. One thing I'd really like to talk about is the effect death can have on the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you have a guild, for example, like in Final Fantasy XIV, we can go back to that.
Yeah.
You plan your deaths, right? If a character were to die.
Yes. Well, not entirely, actually, depending. But if it serves story purpose, yes. Usually, I wouldn't say usually, but the GM our current GM can make a character that's like specifically meant to antagonize, because obviously if you want to make some kind of story go on, you need some kind of antagonists or whatever, someone people can hit and kill, or if they want to say express a story. And I'm an officer now, but even before, I've noticed that some of these characters sometimes unpredictably die. And I always thought it was super scripted, but it's not always. It depends on how things go. Because in MMOs, it's I think...
Wait, you mean interactions between separate players? One of them
exactly,
dies.
but also someone rolls, or they roll for the character really badly.
Number. Yeah.
Yeah, or sometimes it happens that they're like, okay, this character has to die because we want to run this event in a different area, and this will be the consequence.
So
but
that's like Martin's, a death serves a purpose.
Exactly. I think that's kind of it, but it also goes, like, you decide. I think that's really what it is.
Yeah.
I can imagine that with having in a guild. Okay, it's the death lottery again. Everyone roll a die. You did.
But for example, Andrea, could you find yourself in a situation where you'd be okay with Rayleigh dying, your main character?
Ooh, yes. I can think of a couple situations. If they happen, he could die.
Yeah.
But I would prefer it agreed with the GMs or with whoever was running the event or stuff like that. And but like, for example, I would need to be the one who would say, okay, I'm cool with him dying, because it's really difficult to kill off a character's like 2 years into the making.
Difficult for you,
for me in particular.
To kill your darling. Yeah.
There is another way though, because most MMOs that I've seen now introduced the situation where you can, for a fee, change your character's appearance and change your character's name.
Yeah.
So whenever someone, for example, can roleplay themselves in a corner, they can be like, okay, I am done with this character, but I don't want to level again and do everything. And this system that I've worked so hard on, I've got this event items that I'm never going to get otherwise, so I'm just going to pay this fee and make a new character.
Well, that's a good option. That's a good alternative.
Except you shouldn't have to pay for that.
That's true. That's true. That shouldn't actually be.
If it is in-game currency,
it's not.
No.
that would be
If it
acceptable.
That would actually be a lot more acceptable.
Yeah,
and that's goes for most games if you customize anything.
Yeah.
Because just having this, like, hey, you want to fix your character a little bit, it'll cost you.
But consider this: if you go to the taxation's office and be like, I want to change my name, they're going to charge you a fee.
Yes.
In real life.
First of all, this is real life.
So you go to games to avoid real life. That's
you go
true.
to games to pay with in-game currency.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
true.
But why there's two sorts of in-game currency, that is...
But
Well, it's a sort of, it's an option anyway.
It's an option, yeah.
For not, though the character dies, the player doesn't have to go through all the out-of-character things to get back at the same level.
Let's get the wallet.
And that can be true of Dungeons and Dragons, for instance. If your character dies, maybe you don't feel like starting off at level 1 again. Maybe you'll get to start a character that's approximately the same level as the rest of the party, because it's gonna be really annoying otherwise.
And really hard. Because if your party is level 6, for example,
oh, sorry, yeah.
and one of the people die and a level 1 person appears, wouldn't that hinder the entire party?
An interesting thing with 5th edition is that they actually included rules for this, that each level of a character is worth X amount of experience points, and they have this complex system for building encounters that would be sufficiently, like they have different difficulty levels of encounters, for example.
I mean, that existed before as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
So there was the whole challenge rating system in 3.5.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, they
that
went
could
back
probably
to CR,
be adjusted for.
Yeah. But yeah, you would definitely have less power, although they would be less noticeable in 5th edition than in 4th edition, because 4th edition was all about getting more powers, more skills and abilities. Everyone was a wizard in 4th edition. You had like Knife Storm and Acid Throw,
I was a Dragonborn wizard, sorcerer, which casts fire.
Yeah, and acid.
Lots of fire and acid, which was apparently really freaking good.
But as a GM, for example, you might have a story thread for a character, and all of a sudden that character dies because you've agreed that the character is going to die. That sucks. You have all this stuff written down, plan for a character, and then be like, well, I guess that's not going to happen. And I actually asked this question on Reddit/RPG, like, how do you handle player death? And I haven't mentioned it because most of what we've actually mentioned, maybe not the My Little Pony RPG, but most of what we talked about here kind of reflects back on what they were saying. But one of them said that as a GM, the biggest hurdle of being a GM is being able to say, well, fuck that then, and just throw it away. Or rewrite it somehow, but some things you just can't reintroduce.
Like, an example there could be the antagonist is related to one of the players, and that player dies.
Yeah.
The antagonist no longer has a reason to interact with the party. You could probably make something up about it, but it still changed a lot of your plans.
And the D&D campaign I'm working on, which I'm keeping very under lock and key. I haven't told anyone about my plans. But one of the things is going to be a little bit harder for you guys to die because you're going to have a kind of sort of a relation to the bad guy, hopefully.
I'll see to it.
Yeah, you'll die. I know.
Yes.
No, Johan isn't playing, so I guess you'll die.
Mm-hmm. I'll be there instead.
Yeah.
Anyway, the basic idea of as a GM, you have to perhaps not count on all of your characters surviving all the time.
Yeah.
No.
Like, that just seems like prudent planning to go, but what if they die?
Yeah.
And then sort of adapt to that.
What is the consequences?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's the consequences for the entire party?
Yeah.
What's the consequences for the campaign?
Do they hold a funeral and cry, or do they just kick him in a ditch and keep going?
I would.
And it's like, oh, look, there's a wizard. Let's recruit him.
Do they take his stuff?
Yeah, that's true.
That is... Oh, yes.
I think there's one live-action comedy short about Dungeons & Dragons, I believe, where they actually... One of the player dies. And they just go, okay, so here's his new character. Remember that he's new and you don't entirely trust him. And the players go, hi, what's your name? I am Frank the Magician. Hi, Frank the Magician. Welcome to our party. Let's go. And then just keep going. Like, they go completely against what the GM wanted because he wanted them to try to roleplay it out.
Oh.
We actually had the opposite happen, where we trusted the person a little bit too much, and it stabbed us in the back. And then we were really suspicious of other people.
I can imagine, yeah.
But that was that group, and they learned their lesson.
Yeah. But I think as a GM, you really do have the ability to set the tone for your game. If you throw every encounter at the players as a kind of a combat situation, they're going to look at everything like, can we kill this thing or can we not kill it? But if every situation can be resolved without violence, the players will consider those options as well.
Poison.
Poison. Exactly. Slow, careful building of a stock of poison.
We were discussing this a little bit before, I felt like, especially when it came to Dungeons and Dragons, but what does death mean in the system?
Yeah.
Like, in Dungeons and Dragons, death is not necessarily permanent. Nor does it mean you actually have to slow down your dungeon crawl much.
No.
So it can be a quickly resolved issue one way or another. Either quickly rolling up a new character or going into, like, okay, this will cost the party so and so much and so much time, and voila, the character's back. But, I mean, do you know of any other systems that deal with death in other ways? Because I can think of one World of Darkness system, Geist, where death is a huge hassle to deal with, but it is not immediately a problem. If you die, you come back and you have a lower maximum, whatever it's called, the equivalent of humanity in the old World of Darkness system. It's called something like synchronization, and, well, it's a permanent debuff. So your character will go insane if they die too many times.
I'm trying to think of other systems I played that has interesting death mechanics. And funnily enough, the only one I can think of that really sticks out is Changeling for the old World of Darkness. because they had a very interesting two kinds of deaths. One of them was the, dying from a bullet wound. The other one was dying in spirit, because you are possessed by a fey spirit. And if that spirit is killed, that means your imagination is killed. So you become a normal, plain, boring old human who has no memories of the changeling world.
That's an interesting thing.
Yeah,
So-
I think that's more of a threat than what you can build on, because once that happens, you can't go back. But it's an interesting kind of death, a way of looking
Yeah,
at
the
it.
character disappears out of the adventure group,
Yeah.
but the character isn't dead
No,
per
they just
se.
grew up, as a quotation mark.
That's a really interesting
Yeah.
one. I can think of one other immediately that was World of Darkness related. And that's Promethean,
I've heard about that one.
where
It's hard to play, though.
when you die, you explode and you're reborn from that,
Cool.
from the celestial fire.
Isn't Promethean like one of those games that is amazing but impossible to play?
It is a very strange game.
Like, you're sort of not want to hang with other Prometheans.
Well, other Prometheans is fine, but humans. Normal humans will become more and more agitated as you're around.
It's a cool
So
idea, but
you have to constantly move around, and you're also constructed. You are made somehow.
yeah.
Perfect example of one of those games. Great in text form, horrible in practice.
Then you have games like Eclipse Phase, where if you die, well, you just go to your previous backup. And we are really running over schedule
Yes.
here, but I really want to end with the story, because this is one of my finer GM moments as an Eclipse Phase GM. I had one character kidnapped. He was the heir of a multi-billion dollar family, and the kidnappers had like this agitation towards the family because they were running a business they were working for. So as stress relief, they cloned his brain and put it into a bunch of shitty morphs that they beat the crap out of, and then just kept resurrecting as stress relief. So he found like 40 copies of himself completely driven insane by being killed over and over again, but the chip that kept his brain was intact, so they put it into a new body. And the fact that in Eclipse Phase, the death of your body doesn't equal the death of your brain, that's an interesting thing to play around with. And for some reason, I was called an evil GM after that. I don't understand why.
I see.
I had a little interesting story that was similar, a short one, hopefully, about a group I'm playing with currently. We've had quite a long campaign that is, we call it FRST. It's a sort of storyteller-based homebrew in the Forgotten Realms campaign setting. And it's very high level. Usually it isn't combat related, because it's like everyone is an arch wizard. So combat isn't a problem. But we had a character die when they encountered a god. Because it's a god.
Yeah.
But we sort of solved it in that the death of your body does not equal the death of your soul, and we can rebind the soul into a new body. The problem is it doesn't remain a natural link.
Ah, okay, so more
So
like
there's magic holding it.
more like a lich.
Yeah, it's
kind of, yeah.
very similar to a lich,
Yeah.
except this is temporary, so it can be dispelled. And
Oh, that must be a horrible experience.
Jeez.
well, it's a sort of, we discovered this during the campaign. So during the campaign, our characters actually solved death
Nice.
for our society.
Nice.
And-
Yeah, as a kind of a byproduct of what you were doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this results in death is an inconvenience, but it is not the end of a character. And you're going to become reliant on this binding of your soul into a new body every time a body dies,
Yeah.
rather than having an original that doesn't require magic to work in the same way.
Very sad if they cast Dispel.
Yeah.
An area Dispel.
The issue being the binding is to your body, so you can have a clone somewhere far away that just, if you die, that clone wakes up.
Interesting. It's fascinating when you step out of normal thinking and you go into like, okay, we have magic. What can we do with that shit?
That sums up that campaign.
Yeah.
The
We have
imagination
magic.
can go wild.
What can we do with it?
And I think to sum it all up, death. I think we can all agree on that. Death has some kind of effect on the game.
Yeah.
Obviously. But it really depends on what kind of group you are. As we always land in these podcasts, it really depends on session 0 and expectations you have. But I believe most of us should feel that it should be at least some meaning behind it.
Death can be well played or not. If it's Dungeons and Dragons, death can be very inconsequential. Which
take out a new character sheet, keep going. Like
maybe that's not the best feeling for it, but if it's that kind of game you're after, it's that kind of game you're after.
Meanwhile, in MMOs, you do tend to die a lot, but you don't actually die until you decide you die. Like it's part of the game.
Knocked out.
Yeah, exactly. It's part of the game to be KO'd.
Yeah.
I come to think of Neverwinter Nights 2 at least had the thing that your character doesn't die unless it's a total party kill.
But I mean, when you're fighting Titan, for example, and you fall off his fucking pillar in Final Fantasy XIV, there's no way you're knocked out from that. No. You fall into lava. But, game mechanics.
And then you wake up from a dream.
Yeah, game mechanics. But I guess that's where we're going to draw the line for this podcast. And in the next one, we're going to do the opposite of dying. We're going to be born.
We're going to be creating life.
Yes. So look forward to that.
Great.
And until then, keep rolling.
Keep rolling.
Keep rolling.
Keep rolling.
Thank you for listening to Swede Rolls. Your support means the world to us. The music you heard playing at the start and the end of this episode is Fireside Tales by Darren Curtis. The intent of this podcast is to discuss themes and issues in all manner of gaming, but primarily focused on the RPG genre. If you have any comments or feedback, we'd love to hear from you. Pay us a visit at swederolls.com, where you can also learn about the people doing this podcast and more. For our Let's Play channel, check us out at youtube.com/Swede_fighters. And until next time, keep rolling.